Hi, everybody, and welcome into the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko here. Pleasure to be with you, the guys.
Looking forward to the NFL season now more than ever after this draft. I'd love to hear what Duffy has to say how the Bills did.
I think we might just find out.
You guys want to talk about that today?
Maybe today.
Okay, all right.
Nice jersey. Stars are a little faded.
Well, I mean, that's how old this thing is, right? For my money, this is the best jersey sweater in the history of professional hockey. But hopefully, as this airs, the Amerks are still... Well, either they are active or they have won this series, not the opposite.
Well, I see that jersey. I think Scott Metcalf.
Yeah, right. That whole team, right? Sharkey, Metter, like all those guys, fantastic.
That jersey matters because it's starting to fade a little bit, which means you wear it a lot.
Well, yeah.
This is our first shot at the NFL draft. Outside of what Buffalo did, what's your overall impression?
I like what Atlanta did. I know a lot of people did not like it, like Duffy will in about 5 minutes.
Everybody's talking about it.
But here's the thought process. And I get it. Kirk Cousins, older quarterback. I get all that stuff. Look at where the league is going. The shady sort of story that came out after that 18-game season, which we've been talking about for the last few years now. 2 bye weeks, which is, of course, hopefully the NFL implements that. This is not a position at quarterback, which they did draft Michael Penix, and I get it. You can have just one guy that makes $100 million. You get a guy like Penix to learn the NFL system under a guy like Kirk Cousins, who's a class act guy on the field and off. You know Kirk Cousins' career is not going past those 4 years. He'll be lucky if he gets those 3 years. If Atlanta's got a chance at this right now, put it all in. And if they don't, maybe you get a good quarterback out of it at the end.
Just to cap the Atlanta discussion, I'm going to roll this back at you. Do you owe anything to Michael Penix? And be fair to a guy who's he's 25, 24 in there somewhere. And the window that you have to pay a rookie contract, you're wasting that and you're hurting him.
Well, I mean, listen, you're giving him an opportunity. You know full well with the NFL season, you need a backup quarterback. I've been singing this for years. You got to have two. You can't just have one. This is not the 16-game season and playoffs anymore. You have to be ready to have somebody come in there. And who better than a kid who can show whether or not he can play in the NFL? That's the way we're going right now. Look at a number of quarterbacks that are basically, you know what? Jets, number 2 overall pick. He can't play. We got to get him out of town in less than 2 to 3 years. Where does that put Zach Wilson?
Your overall look?
Oh, well, I think that move was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in the draft. But
the
beyond
Jets
that,
drafting him?
No. The Falcons drafting Penix. But beyond that, the amount of teams based on offensive players, receivers especially, taken in this first round that are going to be having massive busts on their hands 2 to 3 years from now. Because we talked about this, right? As the Bills were looking for wide receiver, the biggest bust rate amongst players is wide receiver. And it was obvious during that draft that as soon as a general manager, saw a trend going one way, boom, all of a sudden they were running that same way. The runs on things were just happening over and over again, which is why I think Penix went where he did. This could be one of those drafts that we look back on 10 years from now and go, there are 2, 3 players in that first round that were impact players, and the rest of them, what the hell happened?
Wow, with 6 of the front 12 being quarterbacks.
Right, well, yes, but that makes the most sense, right? Like, there are going to be 4 quarterbacks in those first 12, just statistically, that we go back and go, what were you thinking taking him here? I mean, look at the Josh Allen draft, right? Baker Mayfield, pretty much shot. Sam Darnold, he's getting another chance, but he's pretty much shot. The 2 good I don't even know what Josh Rosen is doing right now. The 2 best quarterbacks taken were the 2 that had the biggest doubts in Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, right? And Lamar Jackson was almost a second-round pick, for God's sakes.
So, I think it's a rush to find the next big guy that will be a part of your franchise going forward and getting him under it. I think that was the move by Atlanta. I still think it'll pay off down the line with the way the NFL season's going.
Yeah, and to that point, it's like an arms race. I mean, how was the game, what was it, first 19 or 14 or something were offensive players.
Yeah.
How does, with all of this, like an arms race, how does this change the way the game's played?
Well, I mean, I think you have to have depth. I think Buffalo, in all regard, we'll talk about them in a matter of moments. They have depth at certain positions, but it's replacing guys that you know will keep that contract for 3 or 4 years. And can they play in the league? If they can't play in the league, they've got to go. And they'll just start drafting younger guys. You'll see the devaluing of the running back. Same sort of situation. You can go get a running back in the 2nd and 3rd round. Look at where Corum went overall and be able to continuously move your offense. I think this changes the league where they're going to find out whether or not you can play in 3 to 4 years and you will not get a second chance.
Football is a living, breathing mechanism. 10 years from now, it'll be a 15-run defensive player when some 30-year-old guy shows up as the defensive coordinator and revolutionizes the way you play the game.
I don't think it's 10. I think it's 5.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it'll be sooner than we think.
You mean
than that.
the defense will
You
come
got
back?
it. Yes.
Yep.
So this isn't a permanent trend.
No, it goes back, and we see it happen all the time, right? West Coast offense then leads to defense doesn't matter. Then all of a sudden, blitz packages and what happens in Baltimore leads to you need to have these defensive players, and all of a sudden you have these high-flying quarterbacks that can't be stopped. It moves, it breathes.
It was to that point, wasn't it? Just like it was 2 or 3 years ago, where like the first 4 or something, or other guys were all defensive, and everyone said, "Oh,
Yeah.
this is a thing."
We lost a lot of quarterbacks within the last couple of seasons, so they know the value of quarterback. They've got to protect them a little bit longer, but it will swing back to defense.
Man, still, this is so radical. This is a Rochester Press Box. We're talking Buffalo Bills draft next. Just passing through life lessons from notable Rochesterians, people you may think you know. Don Alhart and Maggie Brooks, John Dady and Stacy Pension, J Mac and Soccer Sam, Fred Costello and Jake Zembeck, along with 21 more. How they all got from there to here. It's a new book by Bill Pucko, available for $12 postpaid only from rocksportsnow.com. Try it and thank you. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Again, our first shot at the NFL draft. You look at the Buffalo Bills. They trade out twice out of the first round. First pick of the second round, they go wide receiver.
Yeah, I like it. I like the kid out of Florida State. By the way, played basketball at Michigan State as well. I will say this. Lord knows if a man can play football on Sundays. At this point, I don't think I care. Because his social media content, he is the greatest human being I've ever met. He's already the greatest draft pick in Buffalo Bills history. He has the excitement of what you or me or Tariq would have if we were drafted by an NFL team, and we need to protect him at all costs.
Give us a tell. Like, what kind of stuff is he putting out there?
So his first press conference, he did a 5-minute little soliloquy about how he bought his jacket at Macy's for $79. He then immediately got up and asked if he could have snacks when the press conference was over. They showed his first moment on the field. He encouraged everyone, come on, sprint down the field with me, pretended scoring a touchdown. They went in the cryogenic chamber. He had so much fun in there that he pretended he was the Undertaker from the WWE, made him turn off the lights, played the music for the Undertaker, and then came out with all the smoke behind him. The guy's great. He's great.
He's entertaining. That's what he is. Can he entertain on Sundays? That's your main issue, especially with the way your team has gone for the last couple of days.
Look, Coleman is a type of receiver that the Bills haven't had with Josh Allen. He's a big body guy who can go up and get the ball for you. Now, he's not a great straight line runner. Ideally, right? Like if everything works out the way, best case scenario, he's Anquan Bolden. If it's worst case scenario, he's Kelvin Benjamin, right? Like you're in between those two spots here. So if he's Anquan Bolden, Josh Allen hasn't had a guy where you can go put the ball up and they're going to go get it for you. I mean, we thought Gabe Davis was going to be that guy. He wasn't. Fingers crossed, the sure-handed, fast game speed, slow straight up and down is going to succeed.
Fingers crossed. Deadly words. You don't want that. And you said that your number one wide receiver was not on this team. Are they on the team now? Did they acquire anybody else?
So June 1st, after June 1st, they have money coming from the Tre'Davious White situation. I think that Coleman is the number one receiver right now, the X receiver.
You know, the facts are he's the 8th guy picked. And they traded twice out of that. And the two teams that they traded twice with picked wide receivers.
Yeah, and you're hoping Worthy, who's going to Kansas City, isn't that guy that is the one guy that is the big factor when it comes to wide receiver.
Of the top 10 players.
Kansas City, though, come on, of all the teams.
Yeah, but isn't that cool? I mean, they show, to me, it was like when I saw that, I says, man, this shows guts.
Yep.
You're dealing with this team. It's like you're telling them we're not afraid of you.
Guts? What do you mean? This guy could potentially torture you again.
And you may have also fed a bus to a conference rival, your biggest
You
rival.
better hope you fed a bus to a conference rival.
But you don't back away from a team and admit to them you're afraid. If they're making a deal that you want to make, you don't say, well, I'm not doing that because you're Kansas City. You do it because they're Kansas City.
You can't be happy that they traded out.
Look, no, I don't think speed helps you in this situation. Of the top 10 40-yard dash times in NFL Combine history, Chris Johnson from the Titans would be the only name you recognize. Speed does not always equate to success.
Well, in the whole first round, I mean, the last pick, so maybe, but isn't he the highest bust rate, wouldn't you think, is a track guy?
I don't know. I mean, listen, of those busts, you have to look at the other side of the coin. Some of them are home runs.
Name me a track guy that's been a home run.
But, I mean, you don't know if that's guy. Well, let's put it this way. He went to Kansas City. It seems like everything they make turns into a home run.
Yeah, no, I hear Marquez Valdez-Scantling looking forward to a really big season.
I can't hear you over the last two championships they won in 4 years.
Yeah. How about the rest of the guys? Anyone?
In Buffalo, I mean, look, Bishop, the safety coming. I love the final pick the Bills made out of the International Pathways program. He's never played a down of football in his life. He's a British guy. He's boxer, rugby player. He did cruise, skeleton. They put him in the combine. You ready for this? He ran the fastest 40-yard dash in the history of the last 10 offensive linemen. He's bigger, faster than J.J. Watt. He's I can't wait to watch this.
All right, so at the end of the preseason, before the regular season, will you be able to grade whether or not they did very well in this draft?
Oh, by the preseason? No, I don't think you're able to grade the draft by the end of the third season, to be completely honest with you.
And you're happy about it?
I'm excited.
Okay.
We have the Rochester Press Box, like it or not, is next. Here's the Press Box Trivia Question, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road.
Absolutely magnificent, one of my favorite waterfalls in New York State. Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. I'll take you here. Just check out the Getaway Guy right now on Facebook.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Our Like It or Not segment is brought to you by Ralph Honda, where Honda is done right, online or in the showroom. Build your new Honda, get financing and a quote on your trade. For your next Honda, visit Ralph Honda. Like it or not, hey, you went to the games?
Yes.
And there's a lot of chatter about the New York Knicks, more the long future than the short future. What do you think of your team, man?
As I'm watching it, as you guys are watching this right now, I'm hoping my Knicks are taking care of business with Philadelphia. That being said, I'm excited because I believe that Jalen Brunson has brought an excitement and an energy to Madison Square Garden and the Knicks I haven't seen before. Now, I know Tom Thibodeau has taken the team to the playoffs before, but this is different. This feels as if we're Julius Randle away from already being into the second round and maybe a team contending for the Eastern Conference Finals in the NBA. That being said, where we are, I love the chatter of New York returning to the Mecca and the place for basketball. Not the Brooklyn Nets, the New York Knicks.
Well, again, you went to Philadelphia, saw that, and like Knicks fans.
And New York took over Philadelphia. I was there. We were in full representation of Philadelphia.
That's really what. I don't think, like, it's been so long since we've seen it. That's what New York and the Knicks and basketball can be if they'll let it.
I mean, listen, you need your heavyweights. You need your Knicks. You need your Boston. And you need, let's be honest, you need an Indiana. Like, you need a couple of teams that are kind of out there and maybe have a chance. You need a Oklahoma City. You need some of those. But what concerns me the most, though, is the superstar. Lakers, no LeBron, no Curry, no KD. Is this a transition for the NBA now to bring in some more stars and bring new faces in? It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard because they're hard established stars in the NBA.
I think we're seeing those two new teams, Oklahoma City and Minnesota, making real impact that they could cash in this year.
I mean, Oklahoma City, the youngest roster to ever win a playoff series, which is interesting. And it's happening quick for them, too, right? Like, I mean, you have that wildly skinny, tall draft pick from 2 years ago that bothers me when I see him on my television. Like, that's how skinny he is. He makes me uncomfortable. But, like, look, man, don't do this to yourself.
I know.
Don't do this to yourself.
As a Bills fan, you're telling me don't do this to myself?
Bro, like,
come on.
Okay.
Can you talk to you?
Okay, look,
I can't talk to me.
As we tape this, it's a 3-2 lead, right? The biggest star for the Sixers is hurt, has Bell's palsy, is going through migraines, and you still lost in overtime. Let's chickens, eggs, hatch.
To my point of view of the player, Tyrese Maxey, as a Knicks fan, has been unbelievable in this series. Okay. He is a star budding in Philadelphia.
But when we talk about the longer future, I mean, you hear the names like LeBron James, Kevin Durant rolled out there that, tail end of their career, that might be a missing piece for this team.
Yes, I'll take it. I will take it. I will definitely take it.
This is the third time for for both of those players. And every time you guys let up, oh, they're coming this time. This is going to be great. This is gonna high fives, everybody.
That's right.
They got a little
Can I
more
enjoy
leverage
my
now.
excitement, please?
Sure,
Thank you.
I mean, yeah, get a star like the last time. Amari Stoudemire. When's the last time? That doesn't matter.
What should I know about what's happening with the Stanley Cup playoffs?
That's another changing in the guard. The Lightning are out in the first round for the second year in a row, so the Panthers look like they're doing well. Down goes Winnipeg earlier this week. We're waiting as we tape this to see what happens with the Leafs and the Bruins. I despise both those teams. I do want to see the Leafs go out first just because the story is so funny, and that's going to be
funny.
Well, I mean, come on, man. You have the
Does this date back to the your displeasure with Canadians?
Well, I think my displeasure with Canadians started with the Leafs. It's a real chicken or egg thing, as we were talking about earlier. Look, the bottom line is this. If the Leafs go out in the first round again, which it looks like they're going to as we tape this, right? For them to spend the money they did on the 4 stars that they have in the last couple of years and get one playoff series win out of it, let me put into context how bad this has gone. The Buffalo Sabres right now have the longest active playoff drought in professional sports. It's 13 years. Despite that, the Buffalo Sabres have won more playoff rounds since the mid-90s than the Maple Leafs have. And they haven't made the playoffs in 13 years.
I love how hard you work for the show.
Well, you know, it's well, or that's just what I keep in my mind because I hate the Maple Leafs so much.
Like It or Not segment was brought to you by Ralph Honda. Unfinished Business is next.
What did they ever do to you?
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. Come home to McArdle's.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one.
Unfinished Business is brought to you by Greg the Roofer. Better roof, better price. Better call Greg today. Save time and money on your roof and siding. Call us today for a free estimate. Special financing's available. Visit us online at gregtheroofer.com. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Time for Unfinished Business. Brought to you by Greg the Roofer. Start us, Pat.
Did you know that the first ever Buffalo Bill to be rostered with the number 0, at least in the modern era, last year was Nyheim Hines, Buffalo Bills running back? And when you walk into a bar 10 years from now and go, hey, do you know who the first Bill to wear 0 in the modern era was? And they go, oh yeah, it was Nyheim Hines. You can go, wrong. It's actually Keon Coleman, Buffalo Bills' second round pick, first for them, wide receiver. He's taking 0 this year and now it creates a dilemma. Nyheim Hines was rostered with the number 0 last year, but he missed the entire season because of that tragic jet ski accident that happened just a couple of days before camp opened up. Keon Coleman is going to be, ideally, knock on wood, the first Bills player to take a snap in that number 0. So when things go down in history, who do you credit as the first big O? Is it Nyheim, despite the fact that he never wore it as a Buffalo Bill? Is it Coleman, despite the fact that somebody had it the year before? Does this matter? No, but you know what a jersey nerd I am, so somebody needs to give me some kind of answer.
30 minutes. That's right. Last week, 30 minutes before the show aired, I got the news just afterwards that Reggi Bush got his Heisman Trophy back. Something I've been pining for at least 10 years, that he should have never had his Heisman stolen in the first place. Since, I don't know, Johnny Manziel admitted to doing the same sort of thing that Reggi Bush was accused of, but then still shows up at the ceremony to hand out the Heisman Trophy. Now the trust has gotten it right. He's able to get his Heisman Trophy back. I'm not sure if it was just the right thing to do by the Heisman, but morals and ethics, or the fact that Reggi Bush was going to sue and probably win. But it doesn't really matter now, because look at where we are with sports. Now you can have basically anybody on any campus, anywhere, bet on any game, both college or pro, at any time, just by sitting in their living room and not going to a game and getting on their phone. That's how quickly everything has changed from the moment and the ability for people to say, this isn't right, it's unethical, they can't have athletes make money, or we can't bet on games, to the point of now realizing how hypocritical you were years ago. So congratulations goes to Reggi Bush and his Heisman. Heisman is now woken up and realized the era that you had is gone, and this is the new football sports business.
We cheer for the vertically challenged. Short people. Randy Newman wrote a song about them in 1977, not particularly complimentary. Newman nevertheless could have written about anyone. James Cagney was 5'4" and typecast as a tough guy in the classic films from back in the 30s and 40s. His popularity stemmed from the fact that because of his height, or lack thereof, he was nearly impossible to hate, even while playing some pretty rough characters. George Stephanopoulos is 5'5", we like him. Back in the 90s, we all knew basketball star Muggsy Bogues. There were plenty of players who were better than Muggsy who were entirely forgettable, but none of them were an historically 5'3". Luis Aparicio is a baseball Hall of Famer playing for the White Sox, Orioles, and the Red Sox back in the days when shortstops didn't hit very much. He turned 90 last week. He was 5'9", 160 pounds. His nickname was Little Louie. In 1971, winding down his career, Aparicio fell into a horrible slump. He went 0 for 44 while in Boston. At that time, it was one hitless at bat off the record dating back to 1909. Yet every time Aparicio came to the plate, he got a standing ovation. It became a thing. The kind of thing that wasn't afforded Baltimore's 6'3" Glenn Davis when he subsequently broke that same record. Even Aaron Judge gets booed these days. He's 6'7". Yankee fans didn't boo Brett Gardner. He was sub 6 feet. There are not too many advantages to being on the short side, but an ability to win over the masses for no other reason might just be one. That's our Unfinished Business, brought to you by Greg the Roofer, and that is our program. At 5'8", I am the most vertically challenged member of this crew, which is why I am the most beloved.
Wait, so you're telling me George Stephanopoulos is 5'5", and Kevin Hart is the same height too? I didn't know that.
5'5"?
Yeah, comedian.
We love Kevin Hart.
There's no way he's 5'5". That dude's like 5'2".
No
doubt.
No, in a recent interview, he said he's 5'5".
Yeah, great. I'm 7'4".
But you are.
Stand by my point. Hey, thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. We'll see you again next week.
And we still like you.
Thank you.
They had, oh my God, I didn't even see Kenny Smith at halftime.